Most people think that retirement accounts are locked up until age 59 and a half, but that's not exactly true. This one surprises even experienced investors, and the best part is that it's a lot simpler to pull off than most people think. There's a strategy that can give you penalty-free access to your retirement savings earlier and help keep your tax bill lower. It's called the Roth conversion ladder, and it works for both early retirees and traditional retirees. In this video, I'll cover what a Roth conversion ladder is, why it's powerful, and who it works the best for. And at the end, I'll even share my Roth conversion ladder. If this guy can set one up, trust me, you've got this. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Jeff Teeples, and here we aim to grow your wealth with simple, time-tested solutions. Please inflation adjust that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop me a comment below with anything that comes to mind. Quick note, in the pinned comment below, you'll find a link to Snowball Analytics and Seeking Alpha, two investing tools I personally use and recommend. Both offer a free trial, and if you decide to stick with them, it helps support the channel. And a big thanks to everyone out there that has used the links. You know what time it is. Let's grow. Roth conversion ladders. First off, a Roth conversion ladder sounds a lot scarier than it actually is. All it really means is that you're moving your money from a traditional IRA or pre-tax 401k to a Roth IRA over time. Instead of one big scary conversion, you do it in smaller steps each year, like the rungs on a ladder. Each conversion is treated as ordinary taxable income in the year it was made. It's as if you earn more money from your regular job. And that's why most people spread the conversions out over multiple years. It helps manage your tax brackets. Once a conversion is done, there's a 5-year clock before you can pull out those converted funds penalty-free. And over time, you have a ladder of conversions unlocking each year, helping you tap into your retirement savings, in many cases well before the age 59 and a half, penalty-free. I'm building my own Roth conversion ladder right now, and I'll share my numbers later so you can see how it works in the real world. But before we get there, let's talk about why you'd even want to take the time to do this in the first place. Why do it? Okay, I've got a little confession. I've always thought that the pros of Roth IRAs were slightly overrated. Now, don't get me wrong, they are incredibly powerful when used properly. I've just seen too many high earners gouge themselves during their peak income years trying to chase the tax-free money for life. But here's the thing, getting money into the Roth IRA is smart if you do it at the right time and with the right tax strategies. One of the biggest long-term benefits is avoiding something called required minimum distributions, commonly referred to as RMDs. The IRS forces you to start pulling money out from your traditional IRAs starting at the age of 73. And whatever you pull out counts as ordinary income, which can push you into a higher tax bracket deep into retirement. With Roth IRAs, there is no RMD. In fact, you don't have to touch it ever if you don't want to. It just sits there growing tax-free, and you decide when or if you want to take it out. And as an extra little bonus, Roth IRA money is the best thing you can leave behind for your loved ones when you're gone. It is way more flexible and tax efficient than handling other pre-tax accounts. All right, enough theory. Let's figure out if a Roth conversion ladder actually makes sense for you. Who is it for? A lot of people assume that Roth IRAs and Roth conversion ladders are primarily for older retirees. And most people don't even consider starting one until they hit retirement age. And that can make perfect sense, but here's the thing. These can be a secret weapon for someone younger, especially if you're into the FIRE movement. If you can get your first ladder run through that 5-year clock, you've already won a big part of the battle. And it's also perfect for semi-retirees or people taking a sabbatical. Those lower income years are a great opportunity to convert at much lower tax rates. And if your income bounces around from year to year, you have a built-in advantage. The lower income years are a perfect time to slip in more conversions at a discount. A strong taxable brokerage account and a Roth conversion ladder are the perfect dream team. They give you the built-in flexibility to make everything work. And another bonus of getting started early, if you finish your ladder before Medicare age, you can look poor on paper for income purposes and potentially qualify for lower premiums. The bottom line is that a Roth conversion ladder can make sense for almost anyone. But the younger you start, within reason, not in those crazy high earning years, the more flexibility you can build into your plan. All right, let's find out how this thing works. And once again, I will show you my personal ladder that I've been building. How it works and my ladder. Think of a Roth conversion ladder like a pipeline. Each year you convert a set amount with a little flexibility from your traditional IRA or 401k, 403b over to your Roth IRA. Oh, and something that I should note, there is no limit to how much you can convert in any one year. You could technically move it all at once to get it over with. And the IRS would love you for the huge tax bill you just created. That's why this ladder approach, spreading this thing out over multiple years, usually makes more sense. It's important to note that each conversion starts its own 5-year clock. After 5 years, that specific rung can be accessed penalty-free. You can keep adding new rungs every year. In year 6, your first conversion is ready. In year 7, your second is ready, and so on. And I'll be sure to detail this out when I show you my example. Over time, you've built a steady stream of Roth dollars unlocking each year, and those can be used to help you cover your bills and things like that well before 59 and a half years old. I created my first rung of my Roth conversion ladder last year in 2024, so I'm pretty early in the process. Each year, I plan to convert about $100,000 from my traditional IRA over to my Roth. This keeps my wife and I comfortably in the 22% tax bracket, even while she continues to work. Let's pull up my ladder now to see how these conversions stack up over time. This is a spreadsheet that I just threw together for this video. I'm not gonna lie, so it's not going to win any beauty awards, but this is my wife and my rough plan with our Roth conversion ladder. Okay, let's tackle this beast right from the top. So for context, on our current conversions, we're only doing my stuff so far, and that's for my 3 previous jobs. So it was at 500,000 or so last year around this time, and we'll get there. My wife's 401k that we currently max is at about 490,000 right now, here in July 2025. She plans to retire in about 2030, and what I did, it's $1 million, and I didn't just make that up. I'm actually going to flip over to my projections tab here. If you've been around my channel, normally I have all of our stuff in here. So I broke this formula with a hard-coded 490, her current value. We assume a 10% growth. That's just the market's average. She's 100% in the S&P 500. And again, this doesn't include inflation. This is just a nominal growth of 10%, 7% or so with inflation. Her 401k monthly contribution plus a laughable 10 or more percent company match is $2,970 per month. We do max it. It's one of our only investments we make at this point. And you can see here in 5 years with her current rate and all these assumptions, the monthly contribution and annual growth rate, it's right there at about $1 million. So I'm coming over to a different tab. You can't quite see this. I just summarized it to about $1 million in 2030 when she retires. And we'll feed that into the table down here and we'll get there. So starting with just mine, this is my former 401ks that we started the conversions last year. So in 2024, we had about $500,000 to convert from traditional IRA needs to convert to our Roth. And then I just assume a 10% growth, just a heads up here. Obviously, reality is going to be different. The market could be down 5%, up 25. These amounts will have to be adjusted as time goes on. So technically a crash is a good thing. You can convert more shares of your traditional holdings in kind over to your Roth. You don't have to sell the positions, by the way. You can do an in-kind transfer. So if you have VGT or VU, 10 shares, you just convert it right over and it takes the current dollar amount. So a crash is a good thing. You get more shares converted. So the first year we did 100, and this is an actual conversion here. And we assumed a growth of 50. You know, I just made these up. Frankly, I'm at about 450 right now in 25. This is legit. I just put stuff in here to to back calculate. We really grew more, as you know, and blah, blah, blah. So we have $100 converted, and it will unlock. We did it in 2024. So our first unlock is in 2029. So down here in 29, you can see we have access to our ladder value that we can actually take out. Not the growth on the dollars, by the way, just the conversion itself of 100,000. But then all these conversions we're doing all along begin to come unlock year after year. So with our fairly healthy taxable account, which we do use to cover the taxes, and we'll get to that here in a minute, and our Roth conversion ladder, in 2029, we'll be eating good pretty much the rest of time, if everything goes as planned, which we know we always get curveballs. So anyway, this year, right now, we're at about 450,000, just mine. And this is real. Like I just checked it yesterday. It's 454,000, so close enough. We're going to assume that it's going to grow 10%. So 45,000, and we're going to do a conversion, very likely this will be reality, of 100,000. And so it'll unlock in 2030. And what we do, just for the beginning of the next year, we take what we started with last year, the growth is added, the converted amount is subtracted, of course, and that leaves us with our remaining amount to convert. So after this $100,000, and I should mention, this $100,000 puts us in the 22% tax range. We're comfortably in there. We're not sniffing the 24 because my wife still works and has her normal income. So every dollar we convert right now is a 22% tax hit, and that hurts a little, but you'll see later why we're starting now, not only for available money, but for ultimately staying in the 12% tax bracket mainly. So right now we're eating 22%, and again, so in 2026, we'll convert 100,000 more. We assume, again, the 10% growth. So you add this, subtract this, and that gets you your new starting value for next year. And this is just my age at the time, and this is what I really am. I'm 43 now, here in 2025. We still have access to none until this magical 5th year. Now, if multiple things happen here, and that's why I highlighted it. We take my situation here, and we drop it down to here. I had 194,000 remaining to convert. We add in my wife's million that we roll over from her 401k over to a traditional IRA. And again, these numbers will vary in reality. This thing's fluid right here. We will be making changes to ultimately even it out to get to where we want to be. But let's just keep going here. This is our base case. So now, boom, a huge amount to convert. And the growth hurts because it's more to convert. So at this point, we're going to step our conversion game up to 136,000. And now that's not a random number. If you look here in 2025, I'm going to make that bold. I just did this. Cleaning this up as we go. Ladies and gentlemen. In 2025, the 12% tax bracket for married filing jointly and the standard deduction being added to this, the first $127,000 here will be taxed in the 12% tax bracket. Now that's in 2025, and I just put that here for reference. Adding an assumed 2% for inflation, this always goes up by inflation. And again, these could change in reality, as you know. Sometimes they go up 5%, like last year or 2 years ago or whatever that was. But this just assumes the 12% bracket, or if it goes back to 15, whatever that tax bracket is, this many dollars will fall in that bracket. So if you look at 2029, when we add the wife's 1 million to it, we have a big chunk to convert. We grow quite a bit. We're only doing 136,000. That's to keep all of our dollars in the 12% tax bracket, which with inflation should be about 137,000. We'll basically convert this amount. I just threw in fillers here to make the numbers even and pretty and ultimately get us done, nothing left to convert, when I'm 62. And now that's not random. I want to be poor on paper for 2 years coming into turning 65. That'll help get me a discount most likely on premiums for Medicare. So I would like this whole process done by the time I'm age 62. And this is just an even way to get there. If we grow 20% instead of the average 10%, then I'll have to crack into the 22% tax bracket a little bit. These might be a couple 100,000 some years, and that's okay. But by default, if the market goes down or goes up that assumed 10% growth, which I'm assuming here, I'd like to keep this thing in the 12% and under tax bracket. So you can see we do 136 this this year. And that's, again, when we get our first access to my Roth tax and penalty free for $100K worth, if we want to dig into it. Spoiler alert, we won't. At least hopefully we won't, depending on our taxable account at the time. And then, you continue to do these converted amounts. So that feeds in on a 5-year lagged window. And this is just how much money you have access to within your Roth. I hope to not pull it out till here, or frankly, even later, but we will be able to pull out whatever we need tax and penalty free to cover our tax bill and life expenses. So you want to get this thing going as soon as possible, because you have to wait that painful 5 years before you have any access. And remember, you have to cover these taxes, 22% of this for us right now, and then 12% of this all along from a taxable account until you can start taking some out of the Roth. That's why the sooner the better. Work on that taxable, buffer it up a little bit to give yourself some more flexibility. But the goal is to get this traditional IRA amount fully converted to Roth before the age of 62. In my case, I could do 63 as well. I just want to be a little early. And you can see that converting these amounts, and I go a little higher, but still under the estimated 12% bracket in the last year. This is just doing the exact math of what's left, the traditional plus the growth of it. If I did it early in the year, it would take away this. And by the way, I should have said that the conversions I do in December usually. I might start spreading them out throughout the year. That's why I fully take the growth and then do the conversion, and then that gets you your starting point of the next year. But just a simple module like this, just to do some rough planning, goes a long way. Ultimately, when we were earning our career, our portfolio is about 1.6 million total, and almost $1 million total between us right now for stuff that needs to be converted. We were in the 24% tax bracket for many of the years, and ultimately we're only going to pay 12 or 15 or whatever this bracket ends up being as we do the conversions. That's why if you can, you really want to wait until you're out of your high earning years before you get the ball rolling. But with the caveat of getting the ball rolling before you're completely ready to min-max taxes to get access rolling, that 5-year window. So I just wanted to show a real life example of a healthy balance and a way to approach this. This doesn't have to make perfect sense to you, but I hope the concepts, the lag of access, your age, how the unlock year is 5 years delayed, hence over here, this one right here is referencing the one up there, as you can see. They're 5 years lagged when I'm summing these up over here. And then ultimately just, a lot of people say, okay, I have $1 million. Well, that's 100,000 for 10 years. No siree, Bob. That is neglecting the assumed growth that the market will likely provide you. So you have to go above and beyond what you have in there, because that growth is going to continue to plague you. So plan on planning for bigger conversion chunks than you think. I bet you some of these will be 200,000 and will eat that 22% tax bracket a little bit naturally, but still spread it out as much as possible. I'm excited to keep building out this Roth conversion ladder, and it's a big reason why my wife and I will be able to retire early. And I wanted to share it with you in case it could help you plan your own path to financial freedom. And speaking of which, check out one of these 2 videos to continue down your path towards financial freedom. Remember, money is overrated. Freedom is not. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.